Hello and welcome to this week's show where we are in 1977. Now, this was a pretty monumental year as far as movies were concerned, and particularly movies that held the title of blockbuster. There was, so many to choose from. Bridge Too Far came out this year. James Bond had The Spy Who Loved Me, and there was that space movie. And in other work, Hal Needham and Burt Reynolds got together and created Smokey and the Bandit, which is what we're going to look at today. The entire movie is one long chase from A to B because they're running booze from point A to point B. I mean, it's a very simple story, which Hal wrote in a very short space of time. He was pretty unique in the respect of being a stunt coordinator who made that transition to directing first unit stuff. And obviously his relationship with Burt made a big difference. The fact that they lived together for 11, 12 years so that he could then go to a studio and go, look, Burt Reynolds says he'll do it, but I'm going to direct it, and they're just going to throw money at you because back in those period of the 70s, Burt was hot stuff. He'd made lots of terrific pictures. Hal had already done Gator with Burt just prior to this, and that's where the seed was sown for the movie. And the action is under the watchful eye of Alan Gibbs. And we're going to have a little look at some of the work on the movie. Again, copyright prevailing. There are certain little bits and pieces that we can't show you, but we've got some stuff that we can. And it goes like this. So, Smokey and the Bandit. And the story is really much about these pair after living together for 12 years and the idea of being able to write a movie. This movie in particular. This is one of my favourite scenes. Is Alan Gibbs and Janet Brady in the car, making their own way, using their own lane because they've got some oncoming traffic, jumping through the mailboxes. Anybody find that weird that are they mailboxes? I don't even know what they are. A couple of great photographs here as well. And in this particular moment, which is lovely. So driving the car on the left-hand side is Geoffrey Brown. Bobby Bass and Jim Connors are in the police car. Lose it there and then whack. Kerry Lofton driving the truck, and Jim Connors, who was the passenger who was face onto that, said, it looks real big when it's up close, doesn't it, a truck? Here's my favourite line from the movie. This is glorious.
Did you see that? They went right through our roadblock.
You some bitches couldn't close an umbrella.
Beautifully done. Tommy Huff is the guy who is receiving that information from Jackie Gleason. The Mulberry Bridge jump. I want to take a look at this because we're going to have a look at another one later on. Alan Gibbs again. The positioning of this, the angle of the ramp, it goes out, but it goes flat. And it's not even levelling off. There, now it's level. It's 147 feet, but as Hal said himself, that lands flat pretty much. And when it landed, it was destroyed. They had to, the suspension had gone. They could take pieces off it. They only had one remaining Trans Am left. So we'll have another look at something similar to that later on. Here is Buford's roof coming off. And again, this is Bobby Bass and Jim Connors in the car. It starts with Alan Gibbs and Janet Brady making that right turn. The wagon is being pulled out. In they come. This is pre-sawn, of course. The special effects team would have carved their way through that roof, and that roof is simply being held on. And under they go, and you can see the boys both in the driving position there. But very nicely done. Now, I always remember that as being, of course, it was slowed down slightly. So you do catch it in the sequence. The football game is the one which tends to cause the most amount of issue because even Burt himself said that Janet Brady was at fault. Well, evidently she wasn't, because it turns out that the grass, the pitch, was watered the night before shooting. And the jump itself, that's fine, that's a standard landing. And even though when they come through that hedge, and it looks dry, lots of dust being kicked up, but further out, bounce as it goes, as it starts to go across further along, then you get lack of control. And driving around here, and look on the very right-hand side of the screen now, there, that your little girl with the pom-poms just gets clear, and she throws it through here. The car goes left and then goes right for some reason, but it could have been a lot worse. Could have been so much worse. So I think now would be a good moment to team up with Hal and Burt as they explain some of the details, in particular with reference to the very cool Trans Am.
Does this thing move?
Oh, yeah.
I saw a picture of the Trans Am with the T-tops in a magazine, and it was black. And I said, I knew that character was going to be Bandit. That was going to be his name. And I thought, boy, that's a slick, sexy-looking car.
And nobody had seen that car. Nobody had seen the Trans Am. And because it was such a big engine and small frame and light and everything, I got in that thing, and it was, you know, you got a nosebleed. I mean, whew, it was so much fun.
So I called Pontiac and made a deal with them. They gave me 3 Trans Ams and 2 Bonnevilles for the sheriff. Believe me, when we got through, we were stealing parts off of this and this and this to make the last one run. I mean, we just barely got through. The jump across the bridge. Wipe that one off, it's gone. All we just scavenged parts off of that thing. And time we got to the last shot, we were barely had a car running.
Do you know there are people on this planet that are so dedicated to this movie that every year they try and recreate some of that action from the picture? Now, understandably, that's going to include the big Trans Am jump, and it was tried, or certainly in recent memory, twice. The 40th anniversary from 1977 to 2017, and we're going to have a look at that first. And then in 2019, when they tried to do it again, both of these, well, didn't really go according to plan. This is why. Let's have a look. So here we are, Atlanta Speedway, and they are recreating action from the movie. Cars turning over. Look at this. Pipe ramps. They've got chases. Oh, look, the roof coming off the police car. They've got chases around the whole thing. I mean, it's not a packed stadium. However, it's an event. And more importantly, look, they wanted to recreate the jump. Oh, see, that got stuck in the dirt and buried its nose and came down steep. Boom, in it goes, and then flips over. So that wasn't the greatest idea. That's not fair. It's a great idea. It's just that if they'd managed to land it slightly flat, maybe they could have driven away from it. But that's a lot of money. That's a beautiful car. What a terrible waste. Now, 2 years later, they try again. Watch this. Takeoff ramp up and, oh dear God. So what it's done is it's leveled out just as it's hit the ground. Everything's compacted. Let's take another look at it from a different angle. It doesn't make it any better from a different angle. It's still a horrible crash. Up and bang down on its nose. On its nose in a big way, though. And I think what they were... Look, as he comes in, look, there's the first impact. And you can see that everything has been taken, shocked up. Therefore, by the time he leaves the end of the ramp, those 2 wheels aren't on the end of the ramp. So he's just going up, powering up. Now... it's getting nose heavy. That's a lot of engine. Heavy engine, nose heavy, coming down steep. It's going to over-rotate at some point, just starting to over-rotate now, and he's going to land on the bumpers and straight down into the ground. Ooh, and the wheels are off. And you just tend to think if that ramp had been maybe slightly lower, they could have got a bit more speed, a bit more distance, and maybe leveled off and been able to drive away from it, which is what Alan Gibbs did originally. All right, the shocks had gone and various other bits had fallen off the vehicle and it was a terrible waste. However, it wasn't in that condition. Look at the state of that. Oh my God. That is, oh dear. Trans Am in pieces. But that just goes to show how popular this movie is to millions the world over. They want to see more and more about Smokey and the Bandit. And, well, you can't blame them, let's be honest. Well, there you go. That is it for this week, and I hope you've enjoyed that. And if you like that, come and join us again next week for more of the same. Almost quite literally more of the same, as next week we're doing Smokey and the Bandit 2. So if you enjoyed that, you'll want to catch that as well. That's it for this week. Come back next week. Thank you for all of your kind comments over my health. I'm very grateful to each and every one of you. And until next time, bye for now.